Hey, 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 yeah.
Hello, everybody. This is PegLegCraig. Thanks for joining me. It's good to see everybody. I want to give a shout out to people showing up on Rumble, and I want to give a huge shout out to my friends on Getter. Looking forward to another night of fun and frolic here with PegLegCraig, and let's get right to it. Uh, and let's get right to it. What happened? Thought I put it in presentation. Uh-oh. All right, well, anyway. This is what I'm here for. I'm your MAGA chaplain. Satan's biggest fear is for you to become what God created you to be. Now, I mean, that's a very poignant picture. I love how he's standing behind the cross and the cross is protecting him. We don't do the graven images, so we do symbolism, and that's, by giving your heart to Jesus Christ, this is the protection that you're offered from the evil of the world. And it's a very crucial thing that you look inside yourself and find out who you are. Right now, we have influencers going around everywhere that are just running rampant with everything from clickbait to, um, stories that lead, that distract us and divert us and things that we don't need to worry about. And I'm going to cover some of that tonight, but I want to open up with a Bible verse that better deals with that situation. Okay. This is our conduct as Christians. I know that I push this issue, but if I weren't a good MAGA chaplain, I wouldn't. Okay. This needs to be done because we're forgetting it. We're losing sight of it. And I want us all to have this precious gift. And this verse really describes the precious gift, these verses. All right. I'm going to be reading from, I didn't have a chance to make cards for this, and it's a long read anyway. So open your Bibles maybe to Proverbs 3, King James Version, read along, or just listen. Proverbs 3:1. My son, forget not my law, but let thine heart keep my commandments. For length of days and long life and peace shall they add to thee. Let not mercy and truth forsake thee. Bind them about thy neck, write them upon the table of thine heart. So thou shalt find favor and good understanding in the sight of God and man. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Be not wise in thine eyes, fear the Lord, and depart from evil. It shall be health to thy navel, and marrow to thy bones. Honor the Lord with thy substance, and with first fruits of all thine increase. So shall thy barns be filled with plenty, and thy presses shall burst out with new wine. My son, despise not the chastening of the Lord, neither be weary of his correction. For whom the Lord loveth, he correcteth, even as a father the son in whom he delighteth. Happy is the man that findeth wisdom, and the man that gaineth understanding. For the merchandise of it is better than the merchandise of silver, the gain thereof than fine gold. She is more precious than rubies, and all the things thou canst desire are not to be compared unto her. Length of days in her right hand, and her left hand riches and honor. Her ways are a pleasantness, and all her paths are peace. She is a tree of life to them that lay hold upon her, and happy is every one that retaineth her. The Lord by wisdom hath founded the earth, by understanding hath established the heavens. By his knowledge the depths are broken up, and the clouds drop down the dew. My son, let not them depart from thine eyes. Keep sound wisdom and discretion. so shall they be life unto soul and grace unto thy neck. Then shalt thou walk in thy way safely, and thy foot shall not stumble. When thou liest down, thou shalt not be afraid. Yea, thou shalt lie down, and thy sleep shall be sweet. Be not afraid of sudden fear, neither of the desolation of the wicked when it cometh. For the Lord shall be thy confidence, and shall keep thy foot from being taken. Now, that scripture right there tells you that God provides you with everything, but you have to provide God with everything you are. Sometimes I'm afraid right now that we're getting caught up in these battles and we're worrying about the wrong things. We spend how long now have we been predicting the end of the video? Uh, at least 6 years that I can remember. Everything from Elon's going to buy the View and fire them all to Whoopi's gone or that one's gone or this one's gone or whatever, and it never turns out that way. So first off, why are we even concerned with what these women on the View are saying? They appeal to a small number of America. They do not have nearly the ratings they had when it all began with Barbara Walters, and it seemed more fair. It was a facade, but it was a much better facade than the one that they put up now. So I want you to think about how much the ratings have dropped since then. That's the mainstream people that are falling away from it. The people they have now are the people that are going to stay with them no matter what. I mean, they could, advocate for, any horrific thing you could imagine. And I'm not going to give a particular example, but any horrific thing you could imagine. And they would still have a sycophantic fan base who would watch them no matter what and agree. Yes, Queen, yes. And this isn't who we're meant to be as Christians. And I think that we're starting to follow a bad influence when it comes to some of these influencers. That's kind of a take on words there. It was a bad version of the pun I had intended, but anyway, we're being influenced by people now that are making decisions not based on their views as much, in my opinion, as in their bottom line. And that is somewhat of a concern with me. And right now, I'm going to go through why I peeve on conservative, right wing. Some claim to be MAGA, whatever else. Okay. And I'm going to tell you why, because now they're the ones that are running around crying that our views have lowered. Of course, they're blaming the normal algorithm, this, and, they're burying me there and whatever else. And, maybe there's some truth to that, but also after elections, people do drop off. But I think another reason people have dropped off is what I'm going to map out here. All right. First thing that I want to go after is, you know, I like conservatives. I like conservative talk, and I'm excluding a lot of people from this, so don't automatically include them. What I want you to look for is I want you to look for these practices from these people because the practices are what's wrong. Because even if the influencer is incorrect, it doesn't necessarily mean that their heart isn't in the right place. It means that they're making decisions based on things other than their or at least prayer through Christ. And a lot of these people claim to be Christian. Now, I want to pose something that's a very controversial thought to people. If you're leading a flock of people on a crusade, even if it's just an online type of crusade, all right, you're leading them in the MAGA crusade. At that point, where do you stop? Where does your responsibility as just an influencer stop? And where does your responsibility as a Christian come into it? I mean, at that point, you literally are a Christian at the head of a flock of like minded people, most of them either Christian, Christian curious, or Christian friendly. Maybe they're from other religions that have similar conservative values. All right. But you have become an ad hoc religious leader, especially if you keep invoking the Bible in all of your influence. All right. And again, I don't have a beef with this. I want more, but I want it to be done sincerely. And I want the person to be consistent when they do it. And here are some practices that I want to point out that, you know, have made this sphere what it is now, where we're just starting to turn away from these people and we're starting to seek out new people to watch. I know I certainly am, and as I go, I will recommend some to you along the way. But first, let's talk about ads. Now, why is it in a 10-minute to 12-minute video, I'm getting slapped with more ads than 30 minutes of TV time? There are some content creators who interrupt a commercial with another commercial only to come back where their commercial left off. I get that they have to do their thing and have to make money while they're hot, but I think when you overdo it like that, eventually you put people off. We just see you as a money grubbing machine. And there are some people whose content is good enough to sit through all that and whatever else. Maybe you'll even buy because you trust the person. But at the same time, when you're getting smacked over the head with too many commercials, and usually they're of a diverse space, then it's a little bit harder to think of them as just purely in it for the movement and not for, the money. I understand about making money when you're hot. I mean, it's the whole thing. I'm in the entertainment business. If something I do is hot, we're going to try and parlay that into something that's going to be a moneymaker for all of us, for the people involved. But what I'm saying is like, okay, you got these guys that are influencers now, and they're saying the content is like, okay, here, I said two nice things about Trump here. So now buy one of my t-shirts. And when we come back from this commercial, I'm going to destroy something AOC said on CNN. So basically what you're doing is, everything has got to be buy this, buy that, buy this. I won't be able to survive. Buy this, buy that, buy this. Okay, well, maybe that's the case. But I think that you could create a better business model. If you keep doing this repeatedly, you keep putting us off to you. Now I go to someone else, or I'll watch your content in something like the Brave browser and just skip over your commercials if they're too many. You know, it really just depends. All right. Now I know a lot of people, are mad at me for this. You're a good Republican. You should make what money you can. And yeah, you can. But I'm saying you're worried about people being put off to your content. I'm saying this might be one of the reasons why, because it certainly is for me. I've turned away from a lot of people because they've become too commercial. And sometimes I notice the commercials they're doing are starting to influence their positions on things. But anyway, back to it. One of my favorite things. I cringe every time I see this. We have actual overweight influencers who are trying to sell us programs, products. I, I sit in shock and awe as I watch it, and it's not like they're going through this process and losing weight. They're still the same old chubber they were 3, 4 weeks ago, and still advertising that same product. How can I take you seriously? I'm literally gobsmacked. All right. You're going to tell me to go on a diet, and in the meantime, you got three chins underneath you playing an ode to mac and cheese. All right, that's not a good selling point. All right. Another kind of ad that I can't stand is when they do the 2 minute plus ads, and you saw how many guys got into trouble with this. All right, one of the guys I actually do like, who has I think too many ads too, is Jeremy from the Quarter. I like the guy. I'll sit through it. I'll go through it because I like the way that he does stuff, and I like the fact that he brings out stories right away as soon as they happen and gives you the best possible reporting on it for the limited situation that he has to do it. So Jeremy the Quartering, I do like, and yeah, I will be the first to say too many ads, but at least you're cutting out the clickbait. You acknowledge that, and I give you credit for that. We're gonna get the clickbait in a bit. Believe me, I don't want to get ahead of myself. All right, but we were buying pieces of land in Scotland to be heirs or whatever it was, lords. That's right, lords and whatnot. And these people are doing these 2.5 minute ads for this crap. And look, everything that needs to be said can be said in less than a minute if you're trying to sell us a product. And if you make it exciting enough, people will go to that website. But if you beat us over the head with 2.5 minutes of how we become a lord in the long tradition of Scottish lords and ladies and all that other stuff because we bought a piece of property about this big, um, yeah, I'm not impressed. And then it all turned out to be a scam anyway. So you see how things can be, you know, manipulative. Like there's also been the thing where a bunch of Lauren Chen, Benny Johnson, someone who I used to, well, I mean, I like them, but I don't like them as much now. Uh, they were all hit with a scam where it was Russians that were paying them. I don't know the whole extent of it, but apparently it was some bit of a problem because Lauren Chen and her husband ended up going to court over it. So I don't even remember how it turned out, to be honest with you. But my point is that a lot of people, a lot of these influencers are taking ads that really have nothing to do with what they're influencing about. I mean, what does, you know, uh, Benny Johnson have to do with being a Scottish lord? What does Jeremy have to do with being a Scottish lord? And I mean, it's okay, it's a fan product, fine. You want to have a commercial for it, fine, but don't waste 2.5 minutes of our time on a commercial like that. And obviously, yes, you can skip past it and whatnot, but I put videos on in the background while I'm doing other things. So it's not like I can rush over there with greasy hands while I'm working on a bike and just turn off the commercial, you know. But again, the idea is that you're becoming too commercial and it puts people off. All right. Now, we're going to get to one that upsets me because these are people that are messing with people's health. And I'm going to take a glove off for this one. Um, I have a friend, one of my close friends, my dear friends. He's conservative through and through, and he has certain influencers he listens to, and he buys the products that they sell. Well, one of the things that I see influencers selling all the time is vitamins that are supposed to help with your boost your immune system and make you healthy and everything's good and all that other stuff. And then these same people that are selling us these immune boosting vitamins go as many as 3 weeks at a time being sick on their show and their voice sounding like grim death no matter what they do to try and cover it. And I wonder to myself, well, where's the immune blocker? Well, my friend, he keeps buying these. I mean, not immune blocker. Sorry, that's the Greek people. Where's the immunity in these things? And my friend, who keeps buying the next immune thing, the next great thing to up your immune system and everything else, keeps getting colds every year, virus, flu, whatever else. He is unvaccinated, but I guess he just doesn't have a very strong immune system, and I don't think those pills are helping him. Well, I will tell you what I do. Okay. At the first onset of a cold, and yes, we have a live demonstration with real products here. Let's see if I can find them. Uh, huh. I seem to have lost something. Oh, here it is. The first onset of a cold. First thing I go for is a coldies. I don't know what I did with that either. Here we go. All right, I don't usually use a coldies actually. Normally, I go for zinc itself, like a raw zinc, but I always keep this around just in case. If I don't have zinc, like when I go camping and whatnot, it's always good to have. All right, that's the first level. That works for me. This is not medical advice. I am not telling you what to do. I am telling you what I do. You take garlic powder. All right. This is a little bit generic. I usually like to use something, from a better company, but it works. All right, for me. And I take the garlic powder and I put a little salt onto the garlic powder, and you can see that. And from there, I let it run down my tongue to the back of my throat slowly. And what generally happens is anything that I have, like any kind of like little sore throat that I feel a cold coming on from, is gone the next day. I haven't had a cold in almost 15 years. This is what I do. I'm not recommending it for you. This is not medical advice. But I'm saying that what works for me is a hell of a lot cheaper than what doesn't work for you. But I also do my best besides smoking, I know, to maintain a healthy immune system. I do eat garlic pretty regularly. I eat a lot of herbs, turmeric. I mix it into my food, and we're going to get into that this week. I know I only just started with a few cardio exercises for cripples this week, and I hope you got something out of them. People said that they wanted me to do them more in a format of actually doing the exercise for a period of time so they could exercise alongside with me. So next week we're going to focus on doing those. We're going to do a bag drill, and I'm going to show you weightlifting for people that, like, let's say you can't do squats, you can't do legs, all right? You've been gifted the free gift for life of leg day off from gym, all right? So you have exercise for legs, and we will get to that because that's a very sensitive topic with people with disabilities like mine. So there are exercise for legs, but this week I'm going to show you how to get a decent set of guns on you and be able to maneuver yourself better and be able to lift more weights. And this week we're only going to focus on arms. And I'm only going to show you two sets of exercises because these are the only two sets of exercises that you have to do. Well, if you choose to, these are the only two exercises I have to do that make it work. But anyway, and again, all this stuff that I'm telling you is all free. All right. I'm not interested in taking in money, for my great guru tips, because none of them are great guru tips. The things that I do are just stuff that's existed for a long time that I've taken the time to learn about. And that's really all it is. I didn't invent any of this. Okay. It's like I didn't invent the Bible. But instead of listening to people like that, do your own homework and do your own research. The influencers are guiding you wrong. I have yet to see a vitamin supplement, and trust me, I know enough people who buy this stuff to know. I've never seen one yet that's done anything to change anybody. The only thing that I ever saw that I think worked some was X22 used to sell I don't know if he still does or not. I stopped listening. The copium level is just very strong in him. And I love him. Don't get me wrong, I do. And I do tune in once in a while, but I don't listen religiously anymore. I just can't. But anyway, he used to sell this keto elevate. And when I first went back onto the keto diet, I hit ketosis within a week. And normally when I go back into a keto phase, I don't hit ketosis for like 2 weeks. So I mean, I think it helped a little bit with that. And I also noticed that I have a friend who probably eats too many carbs, but he uses that stuff, and somehow he's not getting any bigger. He hasn't lost a hell of a lot of weight, but the way he eats, he probably should be growing a little bit more, and he's not. So, I mean, that one I think may have some applications. I don't know. It's just my personal anecdotal experience and not medical advice at all. But my point is, they're selling you all this stuff, and it's basically the modern equivalent of snake oil. All right. I need things that have provable results that I can see. And if they can't provide that to me, then, I'm not interested in the product that you're selling me, because these vitamin supplements have gone way too far. And then we find out there are certain things on the market that end up getting taken off the market. And I'm not talking about the stuff the conservative influencers sell. I'm talking about, just other stuff. But I mean, eventually, this is going to lead to a problem. This is not a person I want to take my health advice from. All right. There are plenty of good doctors, and I'll list a few of them where you can learn great ways to take care of your body. And hopefully, I can find somebody who can reach through the screen and smack me in the face every time I want to light a cigarette. But anyway, try not to trust your conservative influencers, no matter how healthy they are. I guess maybe if Joe Rogan were selling some kind of product like this, and maybe he does, I don't know. Then might be worth listening to. He's got some anecdotal evidence to work with. But as far as any of these programs go, I've seen them all. I've tried a few of them myself. I've had friends who treated me to trying it out. You gotta try it out. It I haven't found one yet that really made any kind of a difference. And it's not to disparage. Maybe it does work for you, and if it does, that's fine. I just haven't found one that works for me or anybody I know. At least nothing that's made a dramatic change like the advertisement claims. All right. So anyway, that recipe again is a little bit of garlic powder, a little bit of salt, and a zinc or a Coldies is fantastic. I use sugar-free Coldies. That's the ones with the white label on the outside. Anyway, all right, let's move on to another thing that in 1984, one of the things that I love most, one of my favorite scenes in 1984 is the Daily Hate. You know, where they go for 2 minutes and they watch this movie and everybody freaks out, gets it all out of their system, all their animal instincts, so they can go back to work and become decent human beings. Well, I found a version of that that goes with the the daily hate that we do in conservative circles, and it's gotten out of hand because it's basically become like clip to clip react content as opposed to you actually getting up there and doing your thing and talking and whatnot. All right. Sometimes, like my favorite influencers, I'll try to catch three or four, maybe a day. If someone I really like, I'll catch up to them the next day or something. But if somebody else got something interesting, I'm gonna want to hear that. So, and I listen to everything at about 1.5 because I got X amount of time and whatever else. But when I listen to some of these people, I can't stand that they've got to have six, seven, eight, nine, sometimes 12 clips of today's idiot talking on some show that nobody listens to. All right, let me put that in more human terms. AOC on CNN saying some nonsensical thing which is not going to impact life in America, not going to impact life on MAGA, not going to impact anything. In fact, all the words that she uses in that interview will be forgotten within 24 hours. And we spend all this time obsessing on it. Why? It's trivial. Go back through your favorite influencers' timelines. You follow them on Facebook or on Twitter or X. I'm sorry, Elon. Don't zap me. Um, any of the other ones, right? Go through the timeline. Oh, trashes AOC about what she said on The View and, this and that and the other thing. Come on. It's just garbage stuff. If you're not actually debating them, then you're having a little pretend exposition, because you're destroying a person who can't even answer you back. And not that I don't think any of these conservative people could rip apart an AOC or Jasmine Crockett or any of them, Nancy Pelosi. I mean, look what happened to her on CNN. She had a meltdown. Okay. It's not that I don't think they can handle it. It's that why are we bothering with it? If it's inconsequential and it doesn't matter, why even work up a little bit of anger over it? Move on. One of the reasons why The View still exists is because it's rage bait. All right. We, on one hand, hate watch it so we can hear them say something outrageous that we can talk about online later. On the other hand, that emboldens the Kool-Aid haired crowd who listen to them, okay, to listen to them because they know that they're angering conservatives. But if you take the controversy away from that, who cares what Morning Breath Face said? And, what does it matter? Look, you know, not even mentioned anymore. It goes away. It's just like online when you get hit with trolls, you don't feed the trolls. I mean, if you got a person that wants to have a discussion, fantastic, have that discussion. But if you got a person who's just going to hurl insults and ad hoc and, try to, goad you into some kind of a fight or anything, ignore them, get rid of them, block them, whatever you got to do. Because it's an unproductive thing. It's an unproductive use of energy. And the same thing goes for this kind of stuff. The daily outrage. All right. And I'm really getting upset with, a lot of these influencers that are using these like, 6, 7, 8 a day. What they're trying to do is they're trying to rage bait you, their audience, and keep you tuned in because they're going to tell you what this one and that one and this one and that one said. And they're going to put them in their place with their own diatribe. What does that do? How does that help MAGA? How does that move us ahead? Does it? I mean, there's always going to be people that cover it, but I think that if you're sitting at a certain level, you know, you can cover the sound bites without. I mean, you can cover them without having all the bites, the clips. Rush Limbaugh, for the vast majority of his career, I mean, the vast majority of his career, did not play rage clips from various networks. He had a certain amount of integrity and a certain amount of class, and I do believe most of it became real to him after his incident with drug use. And he got on every day and presented an optimistic message of conservatism. He made the best possible case for it. Even if you didn't agree with him 100%, he presented enough logic and enough flaw in the left's thinking just by discussing what's going on, as opposed to playing a rage clip to make you, divert your mind and get all emotional instead of being intellectual like you're supposed to be. God wants you to calm down and figure this out. That's why I read that verse at the very beginning. All right. God wants you to figure things out God's way. All right. So if Rush Limbaugh can go 3 hours a day without rage clipping, you guys can, manage a, 30-minute clip or a 2-hour live stream or whatever it is you do, without having to, hit us over the head with a bunch of these things. Because the other thing is that if you listen to 3 or 4 of these people in a day, you're going to hear those same clips over and over and over and over again. And it's all inconsequential, nothing. What did we do to move the cause of MAGA ahead today? That's what I want to hear people saying. What did we do to spiritually heal any schisms in MAGA today? Those are the things that influencers should be discussing. They should be trying to bring people together. And in this time now where MAGA is starting to have a few schisms here and there, nothing serious, but there are people that want certain answers to certain things, and there are people that will just go with whatever the narrative is. And you have to decide who you are. Are you a person of conscience? Were you interested in that all the time, or were you not? If you weren't, then drinking the Kool-Aid, I guess, is perfectly fine. But if you're a person of conscience and you wanted those answers and you're not getting them, of course, it's your duty to do this. You know why? Because they respond to it. I did a little ridicule clip on Charlie Kirk. I don't mean anything against Charlie Kirk. I think he's a very nice guy. I think that he really is trying to do his best to make conservatism palatable to a younger generation and let them take over the world, and that's a good thing. So he's planting good seeds out there, and I'm not going to disparage him on that. But when he did the thing where I'm just going to trust my friends and not question anything, well, he got hit with ridicule. All right. I mean, mine was a very small, insignificant thing, but it was on Getter and, got over 1,000 views. And it was, Charlie Kirk, how he became part of the zombie hive brain. Now, with that kind of pressure, and it ain't me, I'm not trying to take any credit for it at all. I doubt it played any role. I'm talking about all the other people on top of that who went after him. He changed his mind. He went back to being skeptical. And the same thing with President Trump, where he had closed down all conversation on it, or was attempting to. And the backlash was so fierce that now he is doing what we've asked of him. So when you tell us that's not healthy MAGA, you're the unhealthy person because you should question everything. If not, you're a sycophant. All right. And that's why I question these influencers. I don't have a problem with Trump right now. I think what he's doing is great. I love watching the left just just like scrambling all over themselves, making fools of themselves with their hatred. It shows. And that's what I want. I want the raw nakedness of that so that people can see it with their own eyes. If they still choose to follow that, then they've chosen a demonic path. There's nothing you can do for them. That's casting pearls and swine. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't try to be a good Christian if they're willing to listen. But if they're just going to hate you for your words, then there's no point. Let them go. But there are a whole lot of other of us who can be all working together to make this right and make this happen good and leave a world behind for our children and grandchildren that is something that history will look back on with pride. And we don't do that by fighting the daily soundbite from Jasmine Crockett and AOC. We do that by solving problems and moving ahead. All right. I was going to get into how, a lot of these people manufacture drama for clickbait. Like they make a good video and then they make 3 videos about how much trouble they had because of the one good video they made. I get the concept of farming, but if you do that too many times, you just become kind of dull. All right. We got tired. We watched season 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now your show's running a little long. So, you know, I listen, do what you're gonna do, but I just don't think it's a good business practice. It's part of what put me off. Now, this one I really do get angry about. And if you're like me, I'm an elder of the X generation. I came in the second year of the X generation. All right. Or you're a late boomer, or even yeah, well, no, I mean millennials are a different animal. So let's say late boomer, X gen. Okay. This is what bothers me most, and I have to read this out. Condescension. I'm an ex gen elder at 59. As such, I'm tired of hearing people decades younger than I am saying things like, "Are you awake yet? Do you see it now? You or several variations on the same theme. Listen up, kids. That comes from me direct. Listen up, kids. I was all about this stuff before you were born. Many of us younger boomers and elder X generation were in our day. I mean, like we were ahead of this. We knew about these things going on. All right. We had Frank Zappa and George Carlin turning it into comedy gold. Later on, when Howard Stern was like still a human being, he broke down the facade of what we always thought of Hollywood and the famous people, the beautiful people. We got to see them on display in a different way, and it broke down a wall. What he's turned into now is a disgusting sycophant. I have no love for the man anymore, you know. But anyway, getting back to this, okay? Stop with that nonsense, okay? Uh, okay, later on came Howard Stern. All right, then we raised our children listening to Alex Jones. We fought the Patriot Act. We hated the Bushes. We didn't vote for Romney or McCain in their respective elections. Many of us wrote in for Ron Paul. I certainly did. Um, we thought that's where the movement was going to be at that time. We questioned 9/11 and uncovered the Gulf of Tonkin, Tuskegee experiments, Northwood and PNAC documents, MK Ultra, and many other ghoulish things our government did to us. We had to battle both conservatives and liberals who called us tinfoil hats. Now we are those in the mainstream who are ahead of our time. We were wide awake adults while you still sat in Dookie waiting for mommy to come clean you up. Condescension doesn't win anybody to your side. Okay, if you're trying to get the left on your side and they're not coming over to your side, you're being snooty. You're acting like a jerk. You're acting like you're superior to everyone else and that you've laid knowledge on us that we couldn't have possibly known without you coming along after our 59 years of living with your 22 years. Don't do that crap. Anytime I see even my favorite people, use that line in a tweet, uh, I don't I won't retweet you. I don't care how good the information is. If you're going to condescend to people, then your information isn't that important to me. All right. I'll find another way to get that information out if it is important. All right. For this part here, I need a pie graph. uh, let me see. This is exactly when I needed my person here, and she's not. Okay. Here we go. I got it. Okay. Right here we have clickbait title, the mitigation crap sandwich, and the actual substance underneath, which just turns out to be a bland piece of bread. Now, what do I mean when I say this? Okay, I mean simply this, that everybody knows clickbait, right? You make this big headline, like, let's just make one up for the heck of it. All right, this is made up now. I'm not saying this. Hillary Clinton gets frog marched into DC jail. So that would be the headline. Then you click on it, and then you would find out that there's actually an investigation, and perhaps maybe a subpoena has been issued to testify. No charges filed or anything yet. And by the time you get to the bottom of the thing, it turns out that it was a strongly worded letter from Jim Jordan. Okay. We've had Jim Jordan's strongly worded letters for many years now, and none of them have accomplished anything. Here's another one I want to ask you, Chuck Grassley. Chuck Grassley, what scalp have you claimed? When 15 years ago, I worked for a satirical newspaper long before the Babylon Bee was created, and it was called Turn Up News. And one of the stories I did on it was Chuck Grassley. This is, we're talking about at least 12 years ago. Chuck Grassley chosen to replace whoever it was that left Ghost Hunters, because he can investigate the heck out of everything and still find nothing of any evidentiary value. In the 15 years of Chuck Grassley investigations, all right, if this were a golf tournament, I want you to tell me how many scalps he won. Okay. Where's one trophy he can put on his shelf to say, I took this person down? All these years, he's been investigating the heck out of everything. Jim Jordan, with all his wonderful questions. Remember Trey Gowdy? He was like a circus performer. You bring him out there with his creepy hair, and he'd come out and he'd do like some real grandstanding question, and it led nowhere. And this continues to happen over and over and over and over again. All right. So to me, clickbait is basically the same exact thing. All right. You keep putting out these headlines where, you start out with Hillary Clinton in cuffs, and you end up with a strongly worded letter from Jim Jordan. All right. Stop doing that. Again, these are people that are running around crying, saying that, I'm losing all these viewers and everything else. What's wrong? Why isn't this working? It must be the algorithm. This site or that site is out to get me, yada, yada, yada. I think these are kind of the reason why pieces of your audience are starting to chip off because, listen, nobody is more interested in gaining more information in the course of a day than I am. Even though I don't articulate it very well, unfortunately, I do absorb a great deal of information every day. And to me, it's important to the MAGA movement to know what's going on, to be able to do my best and give my best. All right. Another thing that is really starting to annoy me with certain influencers, and I have to refer to my photo section here. Okay, listen, we have to stop with this guy. Okay. I know that we all think that he's, the best thing since sliced bread. All right. But he's letting down the British people in a way nobody could ever have imagined. All right. He's an establishment player. Every time that it comes up for him to really do something, Nigel has dropped the ball every time. And he's even taken part in a smear campaign on this guy. If you're looking for Donald Trump, British division, here's your dude. Okay. Rupert Lowe. All right. He's currently, he was a member of Nigel's party, but now he currently sits, uh, he still holds his seat, but he has no particular party, although they're trying to put some kind of a party together. All right. This guy is not afraid to say, I want migrants deported. Okay. Rupert Lowe, I want you to look him up. Please. This is very important. Stop with your Nigel Farage worship. All right. Stop telling me how Nigel's the only hope for England. He isn't. Nigel is a controlled opposition. All right. He will slow down the process of England eventually becoming a Muslim country, but he will not even remotely come close to trying to stop it. All right. Rupert Lowe. Let me give you this guy's face again. Rupert Lowe. Rupertlowe. Rupert Lowe. Follow him. Okay. He's saying what we're saying about immigration here. Nigel is looking for blue ribbon panels and committees to discuss it. All right. Rupert Lowe is like, in no uncertain terms, they need to get out of here. So I want people to pay attention to that because we're being influenced by people that we should not allow to influence us. And that's one of them right there. Nigel Farage. I mean, listen, I'm sure the guy is a nice guy. I'm sure he means well in his own right. But uh, England doesn't need a moderate party right now. They need some conservatism, some people with a little bit of national pride who don't want to see their country become a third world nation. And I'm sorry, if you see the areas that Rupert Lowe brings attention to, you'll see that. All right. My thing isn't about like destroying everybody. My thing is about I love seeing people bounce back from messed up situations to end up getting the success, love, and peace they deserve. Now, to me, you can't do that without Jesus Christ. All right, and that's why I read you that whole verse, from the whole verse in the beginning for Proverbs. Um, I read you the whole verse because I mean, the whole context of it, because I want you to understand that the greatest gifts in life come from God. If you go to one of those churches on Sunday that tells you if you put X amount of dollars in, God's going to show you good fortune. God isn't interested in your money. He's not counting your dough. He don't care about any of that kind of stuff. He cares that you give him spiritually what he requires from you. You become less and less, and he becomes more and more. And that is where a lot of us are starting to go wrong. We're taking up too much of the world now into our struggle, and we're not giving it to God. And I don't want these influencers to turn you into, something God didn't intend for you to be. That's why I showed this graphic at the very beginning. I mean, it's Lucifer's greatest fear that you become what God created you to be. All right. That you supplicate yourself. Yes, supplicate. All right. Yes, you bow down. You submit. Don't like those words? Well, then you're not a good Christian. Because if you understand why you're doing that and who you're doing that for, none of that should bother you in the least bit. It's your creator. I mean, what would you be willing to do for your father or your mother? And this goes beyond your father and your mother because this is who created them and created you. The soul in your body comes from him. And that's what conducts the life that you live. Whether you choose to live it in him or not is up to you. But if you choose to live it in him, don't fall back into the world and act like you're doing a good work for God, is what I'm trying to say. And that's what these influencers, I feel like, are leading us down a garden path. A lot of them are, more interested in rage baiting and, all this surfacey worldly garbage and not the real substance of let's get things done. What else can we do? How can we fix things out in Washington where you can't even hose your stairs? okay, because of water issues. The reason why is because they have all that regulation out there that strangles everything so tight. All right. If we don't do something about those kind of things, if we don't start banding together and starting to deal with things from a municipal level on up, not all of us have to fight the international battle, the nuclear war with Russia. Some of us can actually do things in our own communities, in our own states that make the country better. Point it out. You see it, one of those drag shows where they're grooming the kids. Go, make a stink, make a scene. All right. I mean, don't do anything illegal. Stay within your legal rights. That's the most important thing for us Christians because they want to persecute us. Don't give them a reason. Make them make up a reason so that it shows the world how ugly and how disturbed these people really are. These are people that, killed a squirrel because they were mad that its owner was MAGA. All right. These are the kind of people that we're dealing with. We've got to deal with it on this level too. If we take care of the country and we make the country into, something more of what we wanted to see, what good is it if on a municipal level they're cracking whips? In Nova Scotia right now in Canada, in Nova Scotia, you can own property with woods on it and you can't go in there. They've quarantined the woods off to avoid forest fires. But I mean, I'm talking about, instead of maybe starting something, I don't necessarily like this, but okay, having a permit, you have to check in and, whatever else, because the same people that were starting forest fires before are going to be the same people that start it now. They don't care about the law. They're just going to run around in the woods and set their forest fires, you know, but not allowing people to go on to their own land with trees there. You can't camp on your own property, is what they're telling you if it's in the forest. Do you want that in America? Well, the funny thing is, you can win the big argument nationally, but on a state level, you can lose that right. So our fight, our MAGA fight, is on many levels. It's on a municipal level, it's on a state level, and it is on a federal level. And never forget that. And why, instead of worrying about what Nancy Pelosi stumbled over her words, I'd like to call her sloppy choppers, but that would be kind of hypocritical. But Nancy Pelosi, stumbling over words. What are you doing? Are you fixing anything with that? Did you write a letter to people that handle the energy, your state energy department, to find out why prices are being raised so much and how, you know, uh, 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 why this is an issue now? All of a sudden, these energy prices are going through the roof when energy should be more plentiful. I mean, anything like that. I mean, I was just really grasping at a straw there. It's just something that's on my mind because I just called about something like that. But we have to be fighting the battle on all levels, and we have to stop with these useless battles. Who cares about the view? Who cares what this sound bite said and that sound bite said? If something consequential comes from it, like, okay, because this person said this, now this has happened, this connection has happened. Okay, fine. And listen, there's nothing wrong with ridiculing, but let's not waste our whole darn day worrying about something that isn't going to matter tomorrow. Life is too short. All right. Let's worry about things that are really important. And with that, I want to go to our happiness segment, our good news segment. And here I want to present Juicy. This is a rapper. I gave my life to Christ. I refuse to be caught up in street antics. Now, I cannot respect the human being more for making a decision like that. I mean, to me, that's like, uh, you know, that's a home run. Okay. He did a fantastic job. He's found Jesus. He's a new brother to us. And, we welcome him with open arms and we pray for him and we hope for his continued success because in order to do what he's done here, he's probably had to pass on, thousands, if not millions of dollars. I really don't know how famous he is, but I'm going to be learning more about him now that he's given his heart to Christ. I want to hear the kind of music he produces now. Another thing in our, well, this isn't necessarily good news segment, but I want to go for 1 minute on this. Okay. I want us to start to pray every day for DJ Daniel. And I'm going to tell you why. I have a little bit of a different take on this than a lot of other people. It isn't just about that he has cancer. It isn't just about that he has a love of law enforcement. It's about who he is as a child. He's 13, so he's a child. We want to protect the DJ Daniels of America. He is our symbol. He wears that uniform as justice for our children. Okay, the people that we want to protect from the groomers, from the thong wearing men pretending to be women. All these grotesque and disgusting individuals. All right, he embodies what we're trying to protect in this country. Okay. When he received that award that night, when he threw his, you could say whatever else you want about how contrived all that was. When he threw his arms around that Secret Service man, that was real. All right. And that was the real innocence of a child reaching out to someone who they see as someone who protects them, just like his father or other law enforcement people. All right. This is who we have to protect because he's looking to us to do our job, to protect children like him from being taken advantage of, from being used by creeps. This is your symbol right here. He's wearing it. Those kids, the kids that have been abused and the kids that could potentially be abused, demand justice. We have to take these people off the streets. We have to stop and close them down. God says the only way that these things will cease to happen among us in Leviticus is, if we impose the death penalty on killers. And, again, I don't want to be someone in heaven who ever harmed a child because, that millstone analogy is just an analogy. I can just imagine what the punishment would be like. Well, here's the thing. We got to start issuing the millstones on earth so that those people have time to go to prison, rethink what they did, and maybe give their hearts to Christ before they die. All right. He is your symbol of justice. This is the justice we want for all our children. We want them to grow up healthy, safe, happy, and beautiful, just like him. So every day, every night when you do your prayers, I want you to do a prayer for DJ Daniels and his continued health. I mean, he's battling another 3 tumors that had recently shown up, and he's having good days and bad days. And I want us to pray for that, and I want us to pray for him. All right. But I also want you to pray for him on another level. In addition, not as opposed to, in addition, I want you to pray for him on the level that he is someone that we choose to symbolize the innocence of youth. All right. And that's who we're fighting for. I want to bring another person up here. All right. When you think of how your relationship is with God, I want you to remember that there are people like Jessica here. All right. This is one of the happiest days of the week for her. All right. She's always happy to get her Bible and her study books. Okay. And she loves going to church. She's in the Philippines. She's a good Christian girl. Uh, um, she has great caretakers who love her and take care of her as best they possibly can with the means they have at their disposal. But look at the joy in her face. That should be the joy you take on every time you go to church. Okay. Anytime you go there, that should be the joy on your face because you're going to get some Christ. Okay? So take time also, like I say, away from the influencers and the battle every day and enjoy things like this. This is on Facebook. It's called Jessica's Art. You should see some of our work. It's really beautiful. It's like Pollock with a much better color palette. And she does some excellent stuff. Now, in other good news, here's one that we've been waiting for. The FBI announces that they have arrested Boston's sanctuary sheriff on federal extortion charges. All right, I'm not going to read the whole thing because I can't really see it from where I'm sitting, but basically, he extorted a pot store that wanted to open up in Boston. He was down in Florida. All right. And when for some reason the value of the stock that they gave him lost money, they apparently or allegedly paid him that amount in cash. Okay. Now I want you to understand this guy is a sheriff from Boston. He has fought against ICE. He is one of those uh everybody that looks like me is racist. Not that looks like him, that looks like me, is racist. Okay, he comes from that whole clan of people, because you might as well say that because they're just as racist. All right, so we're starting to see comeuppance come, and I do believe that it is one of those things that we will see come from the bottom up, but that's a pretty high player to be pulling down. That's some good news. That's pat yourself on the back because if you hadn't voted for Trump, this wouldn't be happening now. Okay. Pat yourself on the back for parts of whole cities now becoming ghost towns because we're getting the illegal aliens out of there. Pat yourself on the back because we have symbolic jails like Alligator Alcatraz now because you voted to put not only Donald Trump in office, but you also voted, my God, the Florida governor, Ron DeSantis. Sorry. You voted to put Ron DeSantis in office. Okay. This is the battle we're fighting. And these are the seams that we're taking in along the way. And these are things that we should pat ourselves on the back for. Take a good lean back and enjoy life for a minute, okay, and continue the battle. But again, we don't all have to be fighting the federal battle. Who's fighting the state battles? Okay, who's joining Scott Pressler in registering more Republicans in every state and teaching them how to be MAGA Republicans as opposed to rhinos? All right. That's the kind of things that we need to be doing to further the cause along because those voters that we're registering will also vote in municipal elections and also vote in state elections. Like I'm not a big fan of Jack Citarelli, who's running for governor in New Jersey, but I sure as heck want to see him win because A, I know he's going to have a pretty good relationship with the White House because Trump endorsed him. Uh, and B, because he's going to, I think, hold off some of the problems Alina Habba has been having as our Attorney General and State's Attorney General. And I think that, he'll be a play along kind of guy. All right. I know he's going to show his rhino fangs when he has to. I mean, the most conservative New Jersey politician is like a Texas progressive. All right. I mean, even Chris Christie showed us that. He's real good at getting up there and doing his whole elephant number, yelling at people and, oh, I'm the mad fat man. And, but what did he turn out to be? A hunk of garbage that couldn't get 1% in a presidential election because we voted for him to get John Corzine the hell out of there, who was destroying our state. And then he went over and destroyed MF Global. All right. And we put Chris Christie in there. And what did he do? He brought shame and embarrassment upon the Republicans and upon the state. He just was not a good governor by any measure that I can find. And that poisoned people to the alternative to these, lunatic Democrats that have been running the state for some time now. But the one thing I have to give New Jersey is despite being a very, very, very blue state, it still does maintain law enforcement pretty well. It's very good about its parks and allowing access to them. And I mean, it's got a lot of conservative qualities to it for a blue state. And don't overlook New Jersey in that way. And also, Republicans are making advances here. I mean, it's certainly nothing like the miracle of Pennsylvania, but they're making advances. There's a chance now that maybe Citarelli can pull this off, and I hope he does. But anyway, look, I want you people to be good to yourselves, right? Don't just fight the wars. Do a lot of praying. Go to church. Remember Jessica and her happy face, all right? And you remember you putting on that face because you're going to talk with Jesus, and you're going to be with friends who love Jesus too. All right. I can't think of a better crew to be with. And I ran with bikers and gang members and, all the good stuff when I was young. And none of them ever made me feel as safe as I do being living in Jesus Christ. So, anyway, I'm going to ask you at this point to pray for me because I'm praying for you. And I ask you to look forward this week. I'm going to give you some workout videos for. Listen, I'm not trying to show you I'm like some tough guy or I'm some big gym guy. Obviously, I'm not. You seen what I look like out of the bag there? I'm an old putz right now. What I'm going to show you is how an old putz can at least get his body to some minimum level of, you could say, attractiveness, but actually, in my case, it's functionality. It's hard for me to carry my legs to walk. I showed you how I use canes, my hands. Okay. Um, so in order to do that, I need stronger arms and I need less weight. And then I can move even faster and maneuver better than I can now. And that's what I'll be working on with this journey. Also, I'm going to show you keto. Now, I practice Leviticus keto. I live by Leviticus dietary law, except for leavened bread. I like that 647 bread, and I don't see a problem with it. Um, but I mean, I live by Leviticus, so but I eat keto, and I eat very pure keto at this point now. I'll be like on the first 2 week program again. It wasn't that I hadn't stayed keto before; it was that I was allowing so many carbs into my system that I was at the very limits for maintaining ketones versus insulin. So now I'm trying to bring myself back down to where I'm functioning solely on ketones again. And I'm going to add little things to it as we go. All right. So anyway, tune in for some of that stuff. Please, if you have questions, you have certain disabilities. One of the things I used to do on my old channel was I used to go camping and I used to take letters from people with disabilities, how they could set up camps by themselves given their unique disability. Not that I'm the expert, but my mind is used to thinking that way because of my own disabilities. So, I would build shelters with one arm. I would build things where, like, you can only lift your hands up so high, so that you would have a warm place to sleep. Uh, just various how you would hike with a broken leg, which is easy for me. Just, like, but instead of using my brace, I used items from the woods to lock my leg up and walk that way. All right. So if you have exercise issues, we can try and work on them together. I'm not giving you medical advice. I'm not some weightlifting coach or anything. All right. Nothing like that. I'm just another old guy with a bunch of disabilities who wants to help other people. And I will try my best uh, to, uh, to help you, be the best you that you can possibly be. Because you know what? We can be pretty darn cool at our age. All right. We just got to stick with it and believe in ourselves and believe in the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ to help us in all our ways. Anyway, pray for me. I'm going to pray for you. All right. And we're going to pray for America. We're going to wish America the best. And I want you to include DJ Daniel in your prayers every day. And I want you to be good to yourself. And if you're going to pray for me, let's keep up with the cigarette thing. I went a little less this week, but I nowhere near kicking it yet. So you know, your prayers help. Thank you so much. I really do love you. You are my beloved. People on Rumble, thanks for tuning in. So nice to see so many of you tonight. And people on Getter, I love you. You're my home on the web, and I'll be there. We can duke it out this week all you want. And my BitChute and YouTube people, God bless you too, even the ones that hate me, and I see you. Um, enjoy. Thank you. God bless. Pray for me. I'm praying for you. Good night.